G Club in Tokyo. I'm Dennis O'Brien from Gibson Guitar, and this is a guy who's pretty well known here, Ren Ferguson. He's holding our newest product offering, the 75th anniversary version of the Advanced Jumbo guitar. He's going to tell us a little bit about it. So, Ren, Advanced Jumbo is maybe a little bit better known in the United States than it is here in Japan. Can you tell us a little bit about this guitar?
Yeah, this is a design from the mid-30s. The guitar has a longer scale than the earliest jumbo guitars that were built, and has a lot more power and dynamic range because of the extra tension on the top itself. These were made at a time in the United States that there was a Great Depression going on, and so the sales for all guitars was quite limited, and this guitar never received its due or the prestige that it has been recognized to have at this time. We found that most of the guitars in the States were gobbled up in the 60s and early 70s. There just haven't been very many of these originals out there. The guitar is a powerhouse of a guitar. It's often referred to as the bone crusher, meaning that any herringbone made by another company could not stay on stage with it.
Now, even though this is inspired by the traditional HA guitar, there's a lot of new guitar building features on this, aren't there? How about the backwood?
Back and sides of this are made of bilwara, and bilwara is a wood from a tropical wood from India, in the northern part of where they harvest some of the finest tone woods. The top is European spruce, and some wood in both cases that I've hand selected on trips around the world. We found this Bavarian spruce in Germany and contracted with a friend of ours, Fritz Collitz, to produce these tops for us. And the back and sides is, like I said, bilwara, and it's a rosewood family instrument. Now, this wood was found by me about 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't believe anybody else has ever offered it in the industry. At least I haven't seen this wood yet. Our vendor there, Mr. Yogi, on a tour with him one time, showed me some wood at an auction yard, and they had just taken an axe and sliced off some of the outer bark, and the color of the wood was beautiful. And the ring of the hatchet, as it chopped pieces of it off so we could look at the grain, just gave a musical characteristic to it. And I said, "Oh, I want to try some of that." And he said, "No, that's for making railroad ties, you know, for the trains. You don't want that. It's cheap wood. Or it's too hard. You won't like it." I said, "Well, please buy some, saw it up for guitars, send it to me, and I will experiment with it." And when I did, this is what I got. It's the biggest, clearest, warmest sounding guitar wood that has been introduced to the industry since I've been building. I haven't found another wood that I like as well, that seems to be as versatile as this wood that we're currently using on this.
I have to admit, to me, it has the warmth of traditional rosewood, but the brighter articulation of mahogany. It's almost like it's a perfect marriage of the two.
It really is. We were discussing it earlier today, and I think if you were to measure this on the scale of the best sounding rosewood being at 100% and the best sounding mahogany being at 100%, replicating either one of those sounds, we are up in the 75%, 70-75% of the same type of quality. But if you add both those together, instead of having 100%, you've got 140 or 150% of potential. The guitar is just powerful.
Now, my favorite feature of this guitar we haven't even talked about yet, but you handpicked these brand new materials for finishing the top as well.
Yeah, I had the great fortune at the NAMM show last winter to be introduced to a new company that was willing to take my craziness and develop a new lacquer for us that allowed us, rather than having the traditional stuff that we've used in Montana for the last 20 years, where the particulate or the color is suspended in the lacquer, therefore requiring more lacquer to get the same depth of color. This actually has dye that has been added, and as a liquid it doesn't need to build, and we can adjust the intensity so that when you look at this guitar, especially in outdoor light, you can see the wood through the finish. Even in the darkest area up here in the shoulders, you'll be able to see the wood and the characteristic of the grain. Thinner finish, more volume, easier on the ear for sure.
And again, when I look at it, I see, you can actually see the grain here like on a vintage guitar. It's
absolutely
not like the newer guitars.
We patterned this color and shading after the middle to late 30s tone of Gibson Sunburst, and Van Feldner, who worked in the shop for me back when we still had flat iron mandolin before Gibson even bought us, is our master painter, and he's the one that shaded these guitars. He's now taught the other 3 guys that do it in our plant to use this material. We're thrilled with it. They will be continuing to develop more and more colors for us as time goes on. So any color that we use will now have the color will be locked in with dyes rather than particulates, so we'll have a much more transparent and thin finish potential than we've ever had before. One of the great things about working at Gibson is Henry Juskowitz allows us to keep improving the product. His goal is the ongoing process of improving everything we do in Montana.